This is rather sudden. But my name is Yuto Akagawa. Not that you have to remember it. Everyone only calls me by my nickname. What sort of nickname is that? Fatigawa. You ask the rest of the class about me, they'd say I was everyone's favorite laughingstock, the kind of person everyone makes fun of. You see those on variety shows all the time, right? Where the comedians get pulled through bizarre punishments and everyone laughs at them. Well, that was me. I was always the butt of such jokes. That day was no different. A comedian got stripped down to his underwear and had embarrassing things written all over him with felt markers. The people on TV all had a good laugh. The viewers probably did the same. I never laughed. I just felt sympathy for the comedian, seeing them like that. No, not sympathy. Fear. Because I knew that would be me tomorrow. Uh-oh. The word guy who's bullied.
Oi, Deb! Aka Deb! しりとりやろうぜ、しりとり。
Hey, Fatty Gawa, let's play word chain.
俺たち友達だろ。なあ、遊ぼうぜ。
We're friends, right? So come on, let's play. When lunch break came around, a bunch of crass guys would always force me to play with them. I was by no means popular. And though they called it playing, I was the only one getting played with.
じゃあ俺から行くぞ。デブのブからな。ブルー。
Then I'll start. I'll go with the F and Fatty. Flame.
ほら、ルだよ、ル。早くしろよ、デブ。
Come on. Okay, now it's time for E. Come on, Fatty.
5、4、3、2、1、0。はい、デブの負け。
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Fatty loses. They were just looking for an excuse to put me through humiliating punishments for losing. It would go on until I lost, and recently I've been coming up with unfair reasons to knock me right off the bat. If I didn't play along, or if I showed any displeasure, they'd get really violent. All I could do was force a smile and take it. If there'd be their plaything, then their punching bag. Yes, this was better.
おい、デブ、服脱げ、服。ほら、早くしろよ。
Hey, Fatty, strip. Come on, hurry up. See what I mean? I'd already resigned myself to this last night, so I was calm about it. They all tugged at my clothes, trying to force them off. It'd be a pain if I fought back only to lose a button, so I gave an embarrassing smile and stripped myself. And once I was reduced to my briefs and shoes, they brought a mark out of nowhere. Called it. It was an oil-based one. Getting this off wouldn't be easy.
大丈夫だよ。風呂入れば落ちるって。
So relax. It'll come off once you take a bath.
うわ、お前、汗ベトベトじゃん。ペン先滑るよ。汚ね。
Ew, you're covered in sweat. The marker's slipping. Gross. They wrote all sorts of nasty comments on my stomach, back, thighs, and even briefs. And then they cackled, just like the people on TV. To hear, no comedic music would play to soften the blow. So mean. My parents didn't care about me, figures, given I was a wimp who'd been bullied his whole life. If they knew I was getting bullied, they'd just hit me and yell at me for being such a pushover. I would just put up with it, throw away my underwear, and wash off all the rain in the bath so they wouldn't find out. This trend just kept going, and the crude comments on my body would escalate day after day. Of course, it's nearly impossible to wash off writing from oil-based markers. It just doesn't cut it. You need to take nylon towel and rub your skin really hard. As a result of doing this every day, my skin got raw and painful. It stung whenever the hot water touched it. That pain would serve as a constant reminder of how my body had been reduced to a sketchbook for bullies. Huh? All of a sudden, the lights went out. It was pitch black. Oddly enough, my thoughts ground to a halt, as if time had stopped in the darkness. No point in getting worked up over it. My parents would surely take care of it. If I made a scene, they'd scold me for being a wimp who couldn't take care of himself. But just then, the shower stopped. It really did feel like time had stopped. What in the world was going on? All I could hear was the labored breathing coming out of my nose. It scared me, like there was a terrifying demon just nearby. You're not okay. I heard a spine-tingling voice from the depths of hell at my back. It came from within the bathroom, right behind me. The words lingered and echoed off the walls. Creature, ridiculed day after day. I I came here because I felt sorry for you.
僕を助けてくれるの？
Can you help me?
お前の望みを言ってみろ。
Tell me, what is it you want?
もうこんな目に遭いたくないんだ。
I don't want to go through this ever again. I couldn't stand the humiliation any longer.
いいだろう。だが叶えてほしいなら俺の願いも叶えてもらおう。
Very well. But in exchange, I want you to grant my wish.
俺の願い？
What wish?
俺は人間の不幸を養分としている。お前の願いに等しいだけの不幸を俺に捧げろ。
I feed off man's misery. Offer unto me misery befitting of your wish.
そう難しいことじゃない。
Worry not, a mere trifle it is. Wonder what's gonna happen. Normally, I would never give that ominous present what it desired. But not only had it been yet another day of getting covered in embarrassing scribbles, some girls saw me and laughed this time. That bitterness urged me on. An elementary schooler was humming as he walked down the road, clearly in high spirits. The street was desolate. No one else was watching. If I was gonna do it, then this was my chance. I approached him from behind, aimed for the back of his head, and... whack. I ran for the hills. The boy's cries chased me like a specter, but I ignored them and dashed away. There, I did it. The boy was hit by a complete stranger out of nowhere. By bringing about that misery, I had given the thing what it wanted. I felt a little guilty, but that was outweighed by an overwhelming sense of triumph. And besides, it looked like the boy was coming back from school in a good mood. Fucked up. He was that happy, it was only fair he shared some of it with me. So there's no need for me to feel bad, right? Happy now? I kept my end of the bargain. I could hear the thing laughing in the distance. At night, I waited in the bath for it to show up again, but it didn't. I kept washing my body and waited for the lights to go out again, but they didn't. My body stung. It was itchy. Even after I went to bed and turned out the lights, my chest and back kept aching. The next day, I checked my stomach to find it swelling all reddish purple. But if I told my parents and they came out I've been getting bullied, they'd scold me. It was okay. It would go away if I just left it alone. Yeah. I kept throbbing during classes. I couldn't concentrate.
はい、時間切れ。腹だぜ、腹。
And time's up. Come on, show us that belly.
お前風呂でちゃんと洗ってんだろうな。昨日背中のやつ残ってたぞ。
You do know how to bathe, don't you? You still have some leftover on your back yesterday. I was in yet for another scribbling punishment during lunch break. This time, the aching in my chest and back were more painful. The swelling there was chafing against my shirt. So having those guys take off my clothes and touch me would actually feel better. In fact, I just wanted to take my clothes off myself. It was itchy, 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 itchy. Itchy, 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 itchy. And when I took off my shirt, the swelling finally stopped itching. My chest and back writhed with pleasure, like worms after a rain. There were several purplish-black swollen blobs pulsating on them, rejoicing in the fresh air. To me, they looked like one of those faces emblem puzzles. Eyes, noses, mouths, those scattered parts protruding from my chest from the blobs, and trembled. And cloudy, stringy secretion similar to phlegm gushed out of them. Ugh. The demon had certainly kept its promise. After all, the looks of horror on the bullies made it clear they wouldn't even think about touching me now. I wished to never go through something like that again, and the thing guaranteed it. Or granted it. Seeing the bullies fall comically on their backsides in terror felt a bit liberating, even. I was sure the days of bullying me were at an end. But all of a sudden, they kicked me to the ground. They kicked the eyes, noses, and mouths of the blobs on my chest and back, over and over again, crushing them into paste. The blobs would gush that snot-like secretion, with each kick sticking like strings to their shoes. As for me, well, I felt no pain. Far from it. I fell on top of the world, forgiving them the fright of their lives. Eventually, they kicked me so much that my whole body was swollen purple and became a blob itself. And so, they continued stomping me, crushing me as flat as I continued spewing that gooey secretion. In the end, I was reduced to nothing more than a reddish-black puddle, like blood mixed with mucus and faded away. Thus, they would never bully me again. However, I wish I'd been more specific with my wish. Like, I wish everyone who bullies me dies, or something. But if I had, I don't think hitting a kid in the head would have been enough to satisfy that demon. However, I made another wish. Kill them all. The demon's wish in exchange for that was surprisingly cheap. All I had to do was offer it to life, but a single student. Any student. But that was impossible. I no longer had a body. I couldn't kill someone, much less touch them. Hey, after hearing all this, you feel bad for me, right? Sympathize with poor old me and take my place. Sacrifice someone. Just one person is fine, okay? Come on, please. Sacrifice someone for me. Come on, please, please, please. A giant lump of meat beyond any possible description writhed in the darkness. Had no arms, legs, or even head, just a blob of flesh. Eyeballs, noses, and mouths poked out from all over it, spewing forth gooey phlegm from time to time. It was creeping closer and closer and closer. And just then, red eyes flashed in the darkness. And it wasn't just the two of them. Countless pairs of red eyes encircled the blob. Ew. They were small Japanese dolls. Endless numbers of the exact same doll clamored about. The blob found himself surrounded on all sides. Being dolls, they're completely expressionless. However, they clattered and clambered over to the blob one after another. By this point, the blob was nothing more than a piece of candy tossed in the swarm of ants. It could no longer see anything past the upcoming excursion of dolls. It howled as it squirted out several strands of phlegm like a water gun. The blob was clearly screaming in its death throes. And much like the piece of candy amidst a swarm of ants, the doll showed the blood blob no mercy and devoured it whole. With howls and the occasional sound of spewing phlegm, the blob faded to darkness. This is a lovely story. The doll sitting at Toei's side appeared to shake for a moment. I can't remember his voice. The doll gives me the goddamn creeps, for real. You sure treasure that thing, huh? Throw it right in the trash if it was for I wasn't told to leave the damn thing alone. There was a wet sound followed by the sweet scent of saliva. Toei's lips shone sensually as a thin silver string trailed from them. Sorry for the noises. And once more, she put the boy's toes right in her moist mouth. You know, you'd be a real fine piece of ass if you weren't such a fucking nut job. I didn't say to stop. Keep going, you dumb shit. The boy kicked Toei in the chest with his bare foot. But like a dog, she groveled before him, yet again. She started sucking his toes once more, like a baby would its mother's breast. The school's bike lot wasn't empty except right before and after school, and so it had become a gathering spot for delinquents. Thus, delinquent groups would often meet up here during lunch break and the like. About 10 of them were here at this moment. They would curse, spit, and tell each other all sorts of crude stories, with deplorable smiles on their faces. A ways apart from them was their leader, Sho Kaminuma, getting his toes sucked by Toei Kurakami.
Sho-san って性癖変わってますよね.
Got some real weird, let me do that again. You got some real odd taste there, Show.
ほんとほんと。足より舐めさせるとこがあるでしょうに。
No kidding, there are better places you can make her suck.
俺はよ、そういうのはきちんとしてるわけ。そういうのは結婚するまでお預けするたちなわけよ。
Relax, I know what I'm doing. I'm saving that for after we're married.
つうかさ、それで先行来た時、焦ってチャックで挟んだら笑えねえじゃん。
Besides, wouldn't do no good if a teacher came by and got it caught in my fly trying to hide it, now would it? I hate this guy.
歯をぶつけんなっつっただろ。
Hell, I told you to watch your fucking teeth. Guy's the worst. It seems Sho had gotten the area under his toenail stuck in Toei's tooth while we've been convulsing with laughter. He suddenly roared angrily and kicked her away with his free left foot. Toei's slender body fell right over. Sho must have shown her no mercy. However, it seems she didn't even understand the cruelty inflicted upon her. For she groveled before Sho's foot yet again and started trying to suck his toes, her expression never changing even once. This is such weird dialogue. I hate reading this part. But Sho, fed up at this point, placed his foot on Toei's face and kicked her down again.
やめなよ。
Stop it.
あ
Oh?
乱暴は良くないと思うよ。
Violence is wrong, you know?
なんだてめえ。誰よ。
The fuck you say? Who the hell are you?
2の A のすす払ってやろっす。
It's the punk through the horror from 2A. Delinquents considered this place their stronghold, their sanctuary. They hated it when outsiders stepped on their turf. So they frowned, rose to their feet, and glared at Suzumu.
黒髪さん、嫌なことなら嫌だってちゃんと言わなきゃ。
Kurokami, if you don't want to do this, you need to say so.
それが言いづらいようなら、僕が先生に相談するよ。
If you're not in position to speak for yourself, I'll tell the teachers for you.
あちくりかよ。上等じゃねえか、こら。
Hell, you're a snitch? You got some serious balls on there.
お前、チクった後どうなるか分かってんのか？あ？
You got any idea what we're gonna do to you once you rat us out, huh?
おとなしくチャリに空気入れて帰れや、ボケ。
Just pump your tires and beat it, dumbass. Suzumu had brought a tire pump he borrowed from the superintendent's room. He'd come because his tires were low on air. Come to think of it, Kiko did tell me she wouldn't recommend doing it during lunch, didn't she? Now I see why. She was implying this place was a den of delinquents. Suzumu was tense in his own right, but didn't look that way. And that pissed the delinquents off.
よ。なんか勘違いしてるみてえだけどさ。
Look, buddy, you've got it all wrong.
トエはさ、俺にいじめられて、いやいややってるわけじゃねえわけ。
Toei ain't doing this because I'm forcing her to, or some shit.
なあ、トエ。
Ain't that right, Toei? Toei staggered to her feet and stared blankly at Suzumu. She wrapped her arms around Sho and clung to him with all she had. But her expression remained the same even then.
こいつはさ、俺の女なわけ。
This chick's my girl, you see.
自分の女に乱暴をするなんて思えないよ。
It doesn't seem like the kind of person you should be kicking then.
気を許し合ってるからこそってわけよ。
I just got a little
Why not,
carried
son?
away is all. Who the hell do you think you are?
俺とトエがどういう関係か何も知らないなら、引っ込んでろよな。
You don't know what's going on between us, so fuck off.
女の子を蹴り飛ばしてもいい関係なんて僕には思いつかないよ。
I can't imagine what would be going on between you. That would make that okay.
おう、あんまふかしてっと死なすぞ、こら。
Hey, enough with the bullshit or your ass is dead. One of the delinquents stepped forward and grabbed Suzumu by the collar, but Suzumu simply grabbed his arm unfazed.
あ？
The fuck?
おい、大丈夫かよ。
Hey, you okay?
痛えよ、痛えよ。すっげえバカ力だよ、こいつ。
He's strong as hell. Oh! It was at that point the delinquents noticed Suzumu's unassumingly rugged fists. The lack of fear he showed when faced with their numbers made it easy to imagine he was trained in martial arts. They glared furiously at Suzumu, but didn't try to grab him again. Just then the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch break.
A 組の鈴原とか言ったか。てめえのことは覚えておくからな。
Tsuzahara from Class A, right? Don't think I'll forget it. You anytime soon.
さっきの乱暴を黒髪さんに謝らない限り、
Until you apologize to Kurokami for what you did,
僕も君のことは忘れないから。
I won't forget you either.
ああ、なめてんのかてめえ、この場で知るか。ああ。
The fuck? You making fun of me? You wanna fucking die right here, huh? Yet imagine Suzumu would actually talk back. Surging with white-hot rage, Sho pulled a metal bat out of the nearby bike's umbrella stand.
何やっとんじゃ
The fuck are you doing? Suzumu finally looked surprised when he realized that shout had come from Tsubakiko.
バキコかよ。てめえの出る幕じゃねえだろ。
Tsubakiko, huh? That ain't your fight.
スズムは私のダチなわけ。
Suzumu's one of mine.
血祭りにされてかこら。捨て頃もできねえ玉なし野郎が。
You wanna get slaughtered, bitch? You can't even fight fair. Why don't you grow up here, you fucking pussy?
潰すわクソはま。
You
この場でぶっ殺されるかこら。
You're dead. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
翔ちゃんまずいって。
Sure,
落
don't
ち
do
着け
it.
って。
Calm down.
面倒を起こしたら先輩に何て言われるか。
What would upperclassmen say if we caused a scene?
命拾いしたな、鈴原。てめえ、マジで覚えてろよ。
You live this time, Suzahara, but don't think this is over.
約束するよ。
I won't. You can count on that. Sho left in a huff as the other delinquents tried to calm him down. Toei staggered on after them.
黒髪さん、
Kurokami. Before Suzumu could ask if she was okay, Toei pushed him away. And for the first time, the two looked at each other in the eye. Though Toei's face was blank, her eyes were brimming with emotion. With tears and rejection. Her tears streaked downward and fell to the ground. Toei pushed Suzumu away again and left. Suzumu watched her leave as he reflected on her parting words. Right? Too late. Who said that he knew?
さすがグレイトな男だぜ、セスハラ。
The great Suzahara strikes again.
あれだけの人数相手にビビりもしねえなんてな。さすがは俺が認めたグレイトセスハラだぜ。
All those punks stared you down and you didn't even flinch. You really are a great man I took you for.
あつたくん、一緒に来たのに隠れてたでしょ。情けないな。
And you're a real wimp, Asura. You hid the whole time.
そんなのじゃ彼女できた時愛想をつかされちゃうよ。
If I were your girlfriend, I'd dump you on the spot.
俺はまだ修行中の身だからな。女なんてまだまだ早えぜ。
Well, I'm still training. I'm not ready for a girlfriend just yet.
ありがとうキコちゃん。助けてくれて。
Thanks, Kiko. You saved me.
ああいうバカを挑発するのはノンノンだよ。
Just don't go picking fights with those idiots, okay?
だから私昼休みに駐輪場はやめた方がいいよって言ったのに。
This is why I warned you not to go to the bike lot during lunch.
ごめんね。昼休みがもったいないからって意味だと思ってたよ。
I'm sorry. I thought you just meant to be a waste of my time.
それにしてもキコちゃんもかっこよかったよ。
But anyway, you're really cool back there, Kiko.
そうそう、グレイトな単価だったぜ。そうか、スサラは知らねえのか。
Yeah, those are some great fighting words, all right. Oh, so you don't know, do you, Suzahara?
何しろハルミヤは中学の頃は。
You see, back in middle school, Harumiya.
うわ。
昼休みは終わったよ。早く戻ってレッツ5次元目をスタディしないとね。
Okay, lunch is over. We need to hurry back for fifth period and study.
ナツくん、どうしたの？具合悪いの？
What's wrong, Natsu? Do you feel sick?
さあねえ、つわりじゃないの？私が肩を貸すから、鈴間は早く教室に行って Who knows? Maybe it's morning sickness. I'll give him a hand. So hurry on back to class, Suzumu.
It appeared more like she was giving him a headlock than a hand, though. Kiku has a secret. By the time the class resumed, Kurokami was back in her seat, holding her doll and staring off to space, like always. Why?
You're too late.
The way she was in class, I couldn't imagine her speaking her mind as clearly as that. I thought I knew what I heard, but I was starting to wonder if it was my mind playing tricks on me. Kurokami, what did you mean by too late? I used to be so indifferent, but I found that I couldn't get my mind off her for some reason. Too late, as in past the point of no return? But what? What didn't I make in time for? Black snow started gently falling between us. No, not snow. Soot. Jet black soot piled up, burying me in Kurokami's world in darkness. The final class of the day ended, and my classmates filed out of the room one after another. Instead, I walked over to Kurokami.
何か力になれることがあったら言ってね。
Listen, if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know, okay? Nothing.
お前はあまりに
遅すぎる。
Too late? Kurokami said nothing. That silence was a clear information that too late she was indeed referring to me.
わからないよ。僕の何が遅すぎたの？
I don't get it. What am I late for?
僕は非力かもしれないけれど。
Perhaps there's not much I can do.
黒髪さんが苦しんでいるなら、それを救うことができるかもしれない。
But if you're suffering, maybe I can save you from that. Huh? Her eyes were glazed over. Nothing I said was getting to her. There was nothing more I could say to keep her there. Mysterious. What could it mean?
なんでもあの二人、いいなずけ同士らしいぜ。
It seems like the two of them were actually engaged, believe it or not.
いいなずけ？黒髪さんとあいつが？
Engaged? You mean Kurokami and the other guy?
亀沼のやつがすすだに引っ越してきたのは中1の時らしいんだけど。Oh, Kaminuma only moved back here in 7th grade. あんなクズのどこがお眼鏡にかなったやら。I have no clue what she sees in that scumbag.
中学では有名だったぜ。いいなずけがいるやつがいるらしいってな。
Seems he was famous back in middle school for having a fiancé at his age.
どうしてそんなことに？
How did it happen? Joe Kaminuma had moved to Susada only 4 years ago. On the other hand, the Kurokamis were a family who owned a lot of land in this region for generations. What could the two families possibly have in common? In contrast to the wealthy and famous Kurokamis, the Kaminumas barely had a penny to their name, to say nothing of land. And by that autumn, Sho Kaminuma was already engaged to Toei.
何しろ多感なお年頃だからよ。学校中で話題になったぜ。
It's not every day you hear about people getting engaged that early. It was a hot topic in school back then.
あいつも最初はさぞや浮かれただろうね。
I'm sure he was positively thrilled at first.
でもすぐに黒髪さんがちょっと何のある子だと分かったみたいで。I don't think it took him long enough to figure out what kind of girl Kurokami is.
どうしてあいつは亀沼くんはいいなずけを引き受けたんだろう？
Why did that guy... Why did Kaminuma accept the proposal?
噂が本当なら黒髪さんの一目惚れなんだって。 From what I hear, Kurokami fell for him at first sight.
一目惚れ？
First sight?
どうしても婿養子になってほしいって黒髪家が拝み倒したんだってさ。They say the Kurokamis begged him to marry their daughter.
その際にとんでもない金を積んだって噂だぜ。
Word is a big sum of money was involved.
それで亀沼のやつ、グレートに羽振りがいいらしいぜ。
Seems that's how Kaminuma got so influential. Toei Kurokami. She wasn't ordinary, that much was certain. It wasn't absurd to imagine her family going to great lengths to get her husband. Still though, that didn't explain why they chosen a boy like that of all people. If they loved one another, then there'd be no issue. Sorry. But it hadn't looked that way to Suzumu at all. At the very least, Kaminuma treated her more like a pet than anything else. and hadn't felt like Toei held any love for him either. Too late. If Suzumu had been too late, she'd been forced to accept this fate. It almost looked as though she resigned herself to that outcome. And suppressing her emotions, had sworn obedience to Kaminuma as a result.
じゃあな、また明日な。
Bye. See you tomorrow. Natsuya waved goodbye to his friends in front of a deli in the shopping district. The shop's name was Atsuda's Piping Hot Deli. His family ran the place. Suzumu and Tsubakiko waved back as they left.
スズム、しつこいと思うかもしれないけど。Suzumu, you probably think I'm being stubborn, but 黒髪さんに近づくのは良くないと思うよ。I really don't think you should get involved with Kurokami.
どうして？
Why is that?
うまく言えないけど、その I know how to put it. 良くない感じがするの。I just got a bad feeling about it.
そうかもしれないね。
Maybe you're right.
少なくとも彼女は遅すぎたにせよ。
She says it's too late, at least.
救いの手を求めていたのだけは間違いないと思う。
She's looking for someone to save her. I'm sure of that, if nothing else.
スズム。スズム。
それが良くない感じの雰囲気になって感じられるんだと思うよ。
And I think you could tell that's dangerous ground to be treading.
スズム。スズム。
キコちゃん。
Go.
私、もう一度警告するからね。I'll warn you again, okay? スズムは黒髪さんに近づかない方がいい。You shouldn't get involved with Kurokami. 絶対に何か恐ろしいことが起こるから。Something terrible will happen. I just know it.
どうしてそんなことがわかるの？
How?
私の第六感。すっごく当たるんだよ。My sixth sense is always on point.
ありがとう。用心するよ。
Thanks. I'll be careful.
用心しながら近づくよって意味でしょ。
You mean you'll tread carefully, don't you? Fine, forget it. Tsubikyo stuck out her tongue and slammed the door in her apartment. I walked to my own apartment and closed the door. Entering my own space, isolating myself from the outside world, filled me with odd sense of lethargy. Sure, it was a relief to be home, but I also had the strangest feeling that my door was like a portal to another world. Though it was warm enough to make me sweat a little out there, it was cool in my room. Almost like the place was too big for me alone. I didn't know why, but I felt like I'd been here on my own for a long time.
汗をかいたね。シャワーを浴びよう。
Must be the sweat talking. I'll go take a shower. When I was alone, I tended to talk to myself to ward off the stillness of it all. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Perhaps it was a bad habit of mine. I hung my school uniform up and entered the bathroom with a fresh pair of underwear in hand. The bathroom was humid when I went in, almost as though someone had only just finished bathing there. I picked up the scent of bath water. Someone used my bath? Someone's scent was lingering amidst the heat. As it dawned upon me that I didn't recognize who it was, I felt a twinge of unease. I slowly, yet gently, pushed open the door of the bath. And when I did, heat rushed out along with a sickening body odor. Ew. In the bath was meat. The guy. No, it was probably a person. Something slovening and a beast, bringing to mind a distended stomach bulging with fat and grease. Curly black body hair peeked out between its swollen folds, filling me with disgust and revulsion. Blemishes and shaggy moles, crimson scars from scratching, sweaty itches too hard. Skin as hard as scabs out to the joints, bruised blood vessels that wriggle like worms. And an acrid stench like sweat and candle wax that spread with the heat and clung to my nostrils. A blob of meat like an especially disgusting middle-aged man was sitting right there. All of a sudden, it squelched and twisted. I couldn't tell what it was from the front and what it was on its back, but it was clear it noticed me and was turning to face me. This is very Saya. Its voice sounded like a man's voice put through a filter to protect his identity, like you'd hear on the news. I was sure its words meant something, but I couldn't understand it at all. All I could make out for sure was a spine-tingling laugh. Past the blob, I could see a bundle of black hair. It was a girl with long black hair and snow-white skin. No, a doll the size of a human. Its joints clearly indicated it was what they call a ball-jointed doll. Figma, basically. The blob held the doll as it turned around. When I saw the doll's face, I couldn't help but gasp. It's Toei. Because that was Kurokami's face. It wasn't the face of a doll modeled after Kurokami. Everything from the head down was a doll, but the head itself wasn't. It was her face, her head. Ew. One of Kurokami's joints screamed with a sickening crack. I couldn't tell what the blob was saying, but it was obvious it had returned its attention to Kurokami. The blob fiercely embraced the dolls attached to Kurokami's head and greedily sucked on it. Ew. The ball joints creaked with pain and moaned in the exact same rhythm. Kurokami broke out into a cold sweat and gritted her teeth. She was clearly in agony. Yet, oddly enough, my heart felt relief in the face of that repulsive terror. The disgusting relic that the blob wouldn't do anything to me while I was busy with Kurokami. Occasionally, there would be a crack and one of the ball joints would bend in an anatomically impossible direction. Even Kurokami couldn't help but moan in agony. I couldn't even begin to imagine the harrowing pain she must have been in. I didn't know how long Kurokami would hold the blob's interest, but eventually it would get bored, and when it did, I would be next. A part of me wanted to fight to save Kurokami. However, the grotesque blob before me and my fear were both so overwhelming, I don't know what I could do against that thing. But I couldn't just ignore Kurokami's suffering. If I couldn't work up the courage now, I never would. Leave Kurokami alone! All of a sudden, the blob stopped. And then it slowly but surely turned back to face me. Fear and regret seized me from head to toe. There really was a fine line between courage and reckless naivety, wasn't there? The ability to feel calm and safe when faced with such terror was truly a luxury. The blob was surely laughing at me. It then stopped toying with Kurokami and tossed her in the hot water of the tub. Kurokami's body sank into the bath with a loud splash and vanished. What rose out of the water next wasn't Kurokami. It was a doll, one I recognized. The Japanese doll Kurokami always carried was floating there in the tub. The blob didn't seem pleased by it. It groaned with discontent as it scooped up the doll and turned it around and around, studying it from every angle. That was probably my one and only chance. With the blob's attention off of me, this was my first and last opportunity to escape. But my legs wouldn't move. They crumbled beneath me, as though I was a marionette. Of course, that blob was only playing with dolls. So even I was its doll too. Without even realizing it, my body from the neck down had become ball-jointed doll, just like Kurokami. The blob lurched ominously toward me. It then lifted me up, placed me between its folds, and smothered against it. Ugh. The feeling of its curly hairs against me, its revolting odor and heat and sewer-like breath filled my throat with bile. The blob touched my ball joints and lovingly twisted them. From time to time, I felt them bend in ways they shouldn't, with a crack. Ugh. Though barely conscious, I could feel my joints bend and break in various directions, one after another. Finally, they all broke, leaving me nothing more than a head. The blob embraced my head and licked it with a gooey substance oozing out with its rotten breath. The stench was beyond repulsive. I felt like I was going to suffocate from all the nausea. Soon enough, the blob engulfed my head. Nap. Rest in peace. I slowly sat up in the dimly lit bathroom. It was dark around me. Apparently it was nighttime. How long had I been lying there? Ugh. Ugh. I felt like I'd just been in the throes of a horrible dream. I exhaled heavily as to drive out something disgusting they built up in my lungs. I could tell I had an awful nightmare, but I couldn't remember anything specific about it. That's just how it is. Nightmares are vivid when you have them, but vanish with barely a trace once you wake up. Why was I sleeping here? Maybe I'd been anemic and passed out? I had no clue. The clearer my head got, the more I realized worrying about it wouldn't accomplish anything. I shook my head and opened the door of the tub to start a bath. Traces of warmth lingered still. There was no way anyone was there. Ow. My elbows and knees had been hurting ever since I woke up. I checked my elbows in the mirror to find them a little red and swollen. That night, I had the strangest dream. I was a Kurokami, sent alone in the world of falling black snow. Black snow landed on the shoulders of her white robes, staining her in monochrome graduation. She looked lonely, so I tried approaching her, but no matter how much I walked, she didn't get any closer. A firm and cool transparent wall was separating us. At the very least, I wanted to tell her she wasn't alone. I kept pounding on the wall and shouting at the top of my lungs, but she didn't hear me at all. Upon closer inspection, I realized tears were streaming down Kurokami's face. The black snow sullied her tear-stained cheeks, making it look as though she was crying, lines of black. She was facing my direction, but it didn't seem like she could see me. Perhaps the wall was only transparent on my side. Uh-oh. My bad. If that was true, then she was all by herself. Within the wall, the black snow buried her whole. My heart ached at the sight of her tears. Was it pity? Sympathy? No, it was a sense of duty, no question about it. A baseless sense of responsibility telling me I had to save her. If I didn't, she'd be left alone in that world, doomed to be buried and fade away under the black snow, all the while shedding tears stained back by the soot. Even after I woke up, I just stared blankly at the ceiling for a while. This was the first time I ever remembered a dream so clearly. Why can't I get Kurokami out of my mind? I couldn't understand my own feelings. I wondered if maybe I was in love with her, but that definitely wasn't the case. I was an adolescent boy just like the rest. I knew the bittersweet taste of unrequited love. Do you? True, the fact that I couldn't get her out of my head was similar to that. But this was different. I just knew I'd help her. But there was no time left, not even a second. And she said it was too late. Even so, I'd help her. Why? I didn't know. But that emotion was filling my heart and telling me I had to act as soon as possible. I think this is where I'll stop. I'll read a bit more just in case. That particular feeling stuck with me even after Kiko invited me to go to school with her. I still couldn't get Kurokami out of my head even after we got there.
Kitagami-san.
Alright. So, that it will be... We're all caught up. So I'm going to upload these. If you want to watch the rest of the series, they're all there. The next one I record will be pretty much towards the ending. But I hope everyone likes this better than my old stream. I think there's gonna be 2 parts. So I'm gonna do a save. Oh crap. Yeah, I think that's where. I just want to make sure I don't save over something super important. This is probably fine. Yeah, right here. All right. So, see you next time.